So the sole reason we're all in the same boat of collecting assets is that we want to bulletproof our financial future. The minimum retirement age in the country I live in Holland, is 67 years. The life expectancy here in my country for men is around 83 years. The life expectancy for women is about 85 years. And the life expectancy in the US is 79 years. So the earliest age you can benefit from Social Security in the US is 62 years. But it will heavily negatively impact your monthly benefit if you start taking your benefits at the earliest age. So if you wait until the age of 70, for example, your monthly benefits will increase. So here in Holland, I can't choose to receive my retirement benefits earlier than the age of 67. So let's say you completely retire at the age of 67. And up until that point you keep working 30 to 40 hours per week, or in other words, 5 days per week. With a life expectancy of 83 years, you only have 16 years to enjoy your retirement. So looking at your current life, you know how fast 60 years can go by. And I don't want to send a negative message with this video, but I do think it's good to be aware of the facts. And I can imagine that you don't want to stop working when you're 40 or 50 altogether, but maybe you want to start working part-time when you reach the age of 40 or 50. By working part-time, you still have the benefits of having colleagues, feeling productive, receiving a paycheck, and at the same time having plenty of free time. Let's say you want to stop working full-time at the age of 40. By then you want to enjoy more free time and spend more time with your family. So let's say your current yearly income is $60,000. So for the sake of simplicity, we say that by working part-time, your annual income will be $30,000. You don't want to cut back on your spending, and therefore you need an extra $30,000 per year. So how much do you need to have invested to earn $30,000 per year by 40 and still have the option to retire altogether when you reach the age of around 67? Of course, there's no simple answer to that question, since no one can predict the future results of investments. We can only look at the past and make assumptions based upon that. So the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF I invest in had an average annual return of 14% in the last 10 years, including reinvested dividends. It does not take into account any cost one might have had holding that ETF or using the broker. Another ETF, the Vanguard All World ETF I invest in, had an average annual return of close to 10% during the last 10 years. When you partially want to retire at 40, you need to be careful about how much you withdraw from your investment portfolio each month, quarter or year, since you don't want to run out of money when you're 70 or 80. Of course, there are numerous ways to invest, but let's go for an 8% return annually. That's quite conservative, since the S&P 500 has a higher annual return rate looking at all historical data. But I do believe it's best to be conservative with your personal finances, since it's kinda a vital part of living a comfortable life. So let's say in an ideal scenario you're 20 years old, you have a full-time job and are ready to start investing, but prefer to have the option to leave your full-time job to switch to part-time the moment you turn 40, without cutting expenses. You assume that you'll have $60,000 in yearly costs when you turn 40 for maintaining your lifestyle. Meaning, by switching to a part-time job, you need to withdraw $30,000 per year from your investments to match your prior $60,000 salary. So the solution is that you have 20 years to invest up until you're 40. When you turn 40, you want to withdraw $30,000 from your investments per year. So I believe a safe withdrawal rate is 3%, meaning you don't run out of money for your entire life, because the other 97% remains invested and returns 8% per year on average. So to make sure 3% of your total investments equal $30,000, you need to have $1 million invested, because 3% of 1 million is $30,000. So to reach 1 million in 20 years with an 8% annual return, you need to contribute $1,800 every month. If your annual salary is $60,000, investing $1,800 per month shouldn't be a problem, since that's only 36% of your salary, especially in the beginning when you're 20 years old. If you don't get paid $60,000 but instead $40,000, you can choose to invest less or focus on investing a higher percentage of your monthly paycheck. So investing $1,800 per month with a $40,000 annual salary is 54% of your yearly income. And I can understand that that might be hard if you have other financial responsibilities. So it's pretty important to paint a picture of your end goal, because without having an end goal in mind, you probably spend the majority of your monthly payments instead of saving and investing it. That is perhaps the main reason why most people live paycheck to paycheck. Most people don't plan for 20 years ahead. But when you're 20 years old, live with your parents and don't have other financial obligations like children or house payments, it means you can save and invest like 50 to 80% of your income. When you move out, have children and take on more financial responsibilities, most people can't invest 50 to 80% of their income any longer. This makes it harder to contribute high numbers each month to your investments. So I did some calculations in a spreadsheet. So this is the spreadsheet. As you can see in column A, there's the age, in column B, the investment. So we start with $1 million, and column C, the annual return. So we imagine it to be 5%, for example. This is a pretty conservative number since the S&P 500, the historic numbers of the S&P 500 are much higher than 5% on average. Then there's the withdrawal rate. So we start with 3% initially in the first year, so that's $30,000, because we partially want to retire at age 40 in this scenario. And if we had a salary of $60,000, the half of $60,000 is $30,000. So to add up the number to match that $60,000 in salary, if we don't want to cut on our expenses, we need to withdraw $30,000 from our $1 million investment. So that's 3%, and 3% is pretty conservative. I've read various blogs around withdrawal rates, and 3% is, in my opinion, pretty conservative if you look at other opinions. So another variable is the inflation rate. So we are working with a 2% inflation rate. So that's just an assumption, of course. So every year we are upping the withdrawal number by 2%. So as you can see, there's the withdrawal rate is continuing to go up. So at age 54, for example, you will withdraw $40,000 from your investments, and you begin with $30,000. So in this scenario, your money will last up until the age of 87 years. And why is this? Because we will double the amount, double the withdrawal number from the moment you fully retire. So up until this point, you still had a part-time job to match your salary, but up until the point of when you fully retire, we need to double the withdrawal rate if you don't want to cut expenses. So in this scenario, with a 5% annual return, with a 2% inflation number every year on average, and with an initial withdrawal rate of 3%, your money will last until the age of 87. But if we change the annual return rate to 6%, for example, it changes a lot. So as you can see, your money will last now up until the age of 121. So as you can see, only 1% of annual return rate makes such a difference. So if we have an annual return rate of 8%, as you can see, your money will continue to last forever. But if there would be a big market crash for multiple years at the beginning of your retirement, that doesn't really help. So as you can see, if we have multiple years of crashes, your money will only last until the age of 70. But of course, with every crash, the market will go up again. So let's say we have a 20% gain, a 50% gain, and another 20% gain. So in this case, your money will last up until the age of 88 again. Another risky thing is the inflation rate. So 1 year inflation rate change from 2% to 6% will have a pretty big impact. So if we see a 6% inflation rate in 1 year, in this case, your money will last until the age of 83. And if we change this to 2% again, your money will last until the age of 88. So that's like a 5-year or 4-year, I'm not sure what it was again. So a big change with only 1 year difference in inflation rate. So if there are multiple years of higher inflation, it will heavily impact how long your money will last. And in one of the books I've read about index investing, the author suggests that if there is a market crash like this, you shouldn't withdraw the same number that you did earlier. So maybe you should live a little bit more frugally in those years. The market is crashing, and when the market's going up again, you take those benefits again. So in the end, you don't know how the market will perform. The only thing you do know is how much you contribute to your investments every single month. And if you can contribute more at the beginning of your investing lifetime, you should definitely do so before you take on more financial responsibilities when you grow older. So another scenario is that you're 30 years old and want to start investing. So the first thing you should think about is your end goal, your vision. And I understand it's tough to precisely describe your end goal since it's already tricky to look 3 years ahead, let alone 10 or 20 years. Still, you need to come up with some plan and end goal for yourself. So I started my investing journey when I was 29, 2.5 years ago, in 2019. So one of the reasons I started this late was that I didn't know anything about investing. No one in my surroundings invested their money. Also, I graduated college in 2014 at the age of 25. My dream always was to start my own business. So I firstly focused on that. But I couldn't sustain my lifestyle and ran out of savings a year later. While starting my business that barely made any money isn't the ideal situation to begin investing. I began working a 9-to-5 job from 2015 to 2017. I pursued my business plans again in the midst of 2017, when my 9-to-5 job didn't extend my contract. So because I earned more and more money from my business, I saw my savings grow. So I read some investing books and I took 2 courses on value investing in 2017 and 2018 and eventually chose to go for the S&P 500 ETF in 2019. So my current end goal is to have $2.5 million invested. And I'm currently contributing more than $10,000 per month to my investments. But looking at my current income, I don't think I can keep doing that for the foreseeing future. So circling back to the scenario of a 30-year-old that starts investing. So if you want to switch to part-time work when you turn 40, you have 10 years left of working full-time. So let's assume you can contribute $2,000 per month. You'll end up with an end balance of $360,000 after 10 years. Withdrawing 3% from $360,000 per year is around $10,000 to $11,000. As you can see, it's hard to grow your investments within only 10 years. Furthermore, contributing $2,000 per month to your investments might seem impossible to you. Anyhow, you have various options to choose from. So the first option is to change your end goal and settle for less money when you start working part-time. So the second option is to continue working for another 10 years, up until your 50s. It depends on your monthly contribution and the return rate, of course, how much you'll end up with after investing 20 years, from 30 to 50 years of age. You can play with the number yourself in the investment calculator. So the third option is to switch jobs for a higher salary, and therefore you can contribute more to your monthly investments. So the fourth option is to lower your monthly living expenses now, so you can contribute more to your monthly investments. So the fifth option is to take on more risks, to aim for a higher return than the annual 8%. For example, I choose to have around 10% of my total investments in crypto, mainly Bitcoin. So some people believe Bitcoin can go as high as $1 million per Bitcoin. And some think it can go even higher to 10 million per Bitcoin. Others believe Bitcoin is a scam and that it will go to zero anytime soon. So I chose to take on the risk and invest a portion of my money into it. So if Bitcoin were to go to $1 million per coin, it would help me skip multiple years of investing in the S&P 500. If it goes to zero, I definitely won't be happy, of course, but a 10% setback on my portfolio will not completely ruin my retirement plan. So maybe there are some more options I didn't think of here, but whatever the case, the investing lifestyle and chasing your goal of early retirement or partial retirement of working part-time at an early age is pretty hard. You can't just spend your entire paycheck. You can't also spend 90% of your salary, because early retirement isn't happening for you if you spend that much. It's definitely hard, especially if your friends don't share that same mindset and end goal as you and spend most of their monthly salary. What is more, it's also challenging to find a balance. How often should you take trips or vacations, etc. My dream is to have the option to go on multiple vacations every year. But spending $2,000 to $5,000 on vacations every year means I can't contribute that to my investments. So for the last few years, I did choose to go on multiple vacations every year. I like to lie on the beach in the summer and go snowboarding in the winter. It's probably also because my business performed well and could therefore afford to spend that money. I also think it's because I don't spend much money on other stuff and can therefore afford multiple vacations per year. Anyhow, I'm probably not the only one that struggles with these decisions. Let me know in the comments how you deal with enjoying all of your current lifestyle, while at the same time not negatively affecting your retirement plans too much. Thanks for watching, and I wish you and your investments at least an 8% return annually for the upcoming future. Bye bye, my friend.